There's a verse in the Introduction to the Middle Way by Arya Chandrakirti, which says that if someone should, a practitioner should be like a swan, in that they should spread their wings of the wisdom and method. This is referring to the conventional bodhicitta, which is the method side of developing bodhicitta, and then also ultimate bodhicitta, which is the understanding, the wisdom that understands the two realities. And those two together, if one has obtained those and uses them like wings, then like a great swan that spreads its wings and is able to fly across the ocean. just like that, the practitioner is able to cross over the ocean of the good qualities of the victorious Buddhas. So the two realities, that is the phenomenal bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta, the phenomenal bodhicitta being the one which pertains to the development of bodhicitta and the practice side of the path and method. And then the ultimate bodhicitta, which is the, again, wisdom that understands the two realities as they are. Those two together, those are the wings, but then it's the practice of virtue, which is the wind, which is able to propel one across this ocean of the victor's good qualities. So, and by means of those two wings and the wind, which is the force of virtue, then one's able to go across this ocean of good qualities of the victorious Buddhas, and that means achieve the final accomplishment of the collection of merit and the collection of gnosis, which are the actualization of Buddhahood.
Oh yeah. I'm a devotee, you won't buy it, do that, and give a long shund of cheese, give a long tony, and then just a part of chintu to draw. So what then I say, any of course, Benji Bane is sick. Any Tungogi, I mean, I journal. Tata Shera Shundu Juba is strong, Gabo Jerry said. I'm back, I want them that hands you to. And it's about just a part of Chimbasho, Jenny, or that in the tentative chili. Tata Shera Sundu Juba ye, say Gala top. Good Chanju Jichendang. Shera, and it turned and be Sanju Kissim, and it Shundu Jubi, and it Shayan Gabo Jevas. Oh, Shayan Gabo Chan, and it Casore. Gabo said, and it Casore. Dawa to see number to Gondigala, and turned a big what Chabagi Gala, and a couple or this year. John Gabo Jevese, and I'm bet I want numbers. I'm bet I will touch it, and the water be sumanizing. I'm bet I want number hands you do, and it's about just a part of Chimbashows, and it just says it Jeba, and it's Shindula Sawaki, and Bash into Trade. 타라니 제가 계속 바로 심바지 영화 쇼 세트당 안에들이 음악 주박이 근데 티니시안 가보 자주바 세시소서 집아 내가래.
There's also a verse in the Guru Yoga of Kala Chakra by the Panchen Paldinyeshe, and in that verse it says the same has the same intent, where it says that by conjoining and integrating together method and wisdom, method referring to phenomenal bodhicitta, and the practices of the six perfections, etc., that are motivated by phenomenal bodhicitta. And then as well, in addition, the ultimate bodhicitta, which understands the nature of the two truths, two realities. Those two are analogous to the white wings of a great swan. Which here the white wings they're called white because it's both of these are actualized in the sense that they're done within the context of correct understanding of the nature of reality, and so these two together, just like a great swan or goose is able to fly over the ocean by having these huge wings that it can cross the ocean with. Similarly, a bodhisattva is to employ the two wings of wisdom and method so as to cross the ocean of the victor's good qualities. And this is just as was explained in the previous verse by the Master Chandrakirti.
Oh yeah, that dindu dana gewelung shudop ji sege ane gewelung ane soni sonang gu soda ishiji so. Da kasang ama shwa na shin cheni sugu tubji gi ju so la. 아니 선언 그 초당 추구도 저기 뒤에 저어라야 아니 이시지 초 대안에 가서래 가르치러 왔잖아 파진 출라가 자영 있잖아 아니 지소 치수면 대다 파모지 내가 시에 침반 남나 선언 시제 초장 대단히 산제 수제 단위 꾸이주 전에 아니 엄마 주바에 제순 거래 와 선언 그 초대 가서래잖아 아니 짐바라 수dim 서봐 조세와 어 진소 수치했으면 대다 파모지 내가 시에 침반 남나 조치왕 아사지 침반 남나 된다위 지소 치수면 기가와데 아니 소남 시제초 소남 그 초래 소남 그 초 인비 준장 가래래서나 산제 지수지 단위 꾸이 주 시간 아니 수고 주지 지소래 어떠서
So the same thing is the explanation of the power of the wind, virtue, which is able to propel the bodhisattva, who is like a great swan, across this ocean of the victor's qualities. That is explained in terms of the way in which the collection of merit and the collection of gnosis serve as the causes which actualize the two bodies of the Buddha, the physical bodies of the Buddha as well as the Dharmakaya of the Buddha. And with respect to the first of these, the collection of merit here, this is referring to the practice of the perfections of the bodhisattva, and particularly the first five, and within the first five, especially the practice of generosity, ethical conduct, effort. Those are especially important. And within the practice of morality, ethical conduct, at the minimum, a bodhisattva has to be tamed by the five forms of ethical discipline that pertain to householders, and then with those merits. Having that kind of ethical discipline, then engaging in acts of generosity, and then practicing patience, etc., and with effort, and then in that way they develop all of the collection of merit, which eventually culminates in the actualization of the form or physical bodies of embodiments of Buddhahood.
Oh yeah. 这种实际上三界世界单有归主受过主之心，但提醒到我是的，我们就要说嘛的，他拍进他嘛，俺那三代他写了牛的，俺那说俺那受过主这个就三界个受过，俺那也是受过当，俺那看说他帮助你个有这个就作为印章，俺那受过这一些个错，俺那针对的，俺那受过这个。 就当受不住这个就你个了，俺那做完一个跟我做完一张，俺那我得了看了，俺那怎么点吧的，俺那告诉的受不住这个就当，俺那是看了点吧的，俺那如果点吧看了真是七八的了，但呢，俺那其实还是算那么个说的一些说你做完吧的，是吧？
So then, with respect to the cause which actualizes the Dharmakaya, it's as said the collection of gnosis. The collection of gnosis is the principal cause of that is the practice of meditative stabilization and wisdom. And but with respect to that as well, one has to include effort there. Effort has to be applied on both sides, the method side as well as the wisdom side of the six perfections. So one has to employ effort to develop the collection of merit, but equally one has to apply effort to develop the collection of gnosis. So therefore, as said, then a collection of merit, a collection of gnosis, serves to eliminate all of the obstacles and obscurations which are to be gotten rid of, and through the elimination of those negative forces, then one is able to actualize the Dharmakaya, which has as its character the elimination of all of the obscurations and obstacles.
오야 다 된다비 아니 파진 두보태양 아니 가서래 8월에 침박 산제지 공바 탑지기 아니 탑지 탑라 좋은 조에 태양 아니 다 가서 아마 쉬와 나신 전에 아니 파진 두보태 아니 신제 돈이도 비셔럽지 심바 신제 돈이도 비셔럽지 마시나 아니 지대비 파지 마도 지대는 대비 파지 민로와 영화 진짜 진짜 람보 동배도 지대 대비 바로 친시차 순보타라 차제 주와디 지대바에 바로 친시차 전에 우마주발로 소환하신 전에 오다 과소래 아니 돈이도 왜 셔럽지 신소나 아니 지대는 대비 파진당 아니 산제지 소발 산제 그 사토발 제바기 아니 바로 지방을 응을 줘야 와 마세나 아니 미줘봐야지 과소래 다 가슴만 붙여서 야
So then, how is it that the collection of merit and operates, and as well as the collection of gnosis operates to serve as the causes which actualize Buddhahood? This operates. The way this works is that they have to be governed by the wisdom that understands emptiness. Otherwise, the perfections such as generosity, the perfection of ethical conduct, etc., effort, patience, etc., meditation, all of these are called worldly perfections, perfections which are still on the mundane level, and it's only when when those practices of generosity, ethical conduct, etc., are governed by the wisdom which understands emptiness, that they become the actual transcendental perfections, or perfections which transcend the world. And it's only in that case that the collection of merit and gnosis that are done in that way, governed by the wisdom that understands emptiness, that they become the direct cause for the actualization of the two kayas or bodies of the Buddha, as mentioned.
네. 돈이도 왜 싫으면나 아니 바로 집에 민매도 와디 다 가서 아마 쉬와 나신 전에 또 뒤에 나도 민로미부매 봐 제가 찾아이 라면 메시 전체 주바 칼라니 싫으면 봐 매매 바로 침바이 미부매 봐 장주 레바 니마 인세가라 롱와디다 랑기 랑랑기 내수 데베네수 드바 체바라 아니 롱지게 롱지라 마다바 랑와랑한테 베네수 데베네수 좀 믿어봐 대난신 전에 아니 바로도 침바 탐봉하되 아니 바로도 침바 줘야 돼 아니 롱지단다 와기 아니 돈이도 be 셔를 땡고 와 돈이도 be 셔면나 아니 줘봐 믿어봐 또 뒤바기 치티도 생겨하래 와 대난신 전에 아니 우마 주발래야 치다 롱외 초근 대라도 미된 지부지기 대바이 유디 치바 대신 대안로 미냐면데 란데 장이 줘서 다 지지바지다래 롱미소 라르 비데베네스 줘 쳐발라 롱주교와 대난신도 아니 파진 담봉아 대양 아니 바로 침박지 민도 발라 아니 또 싫어도 돈이도 싫어서 가지고 그래
So then the five perfections, the first five perfections, if they're not governed by this wisdom that understands selflessness, emptiness, then they're given the name of perfections, but they're not definitively perfections. And the way this is understood is like there are verses in the verse summary of the perfection of wisdom which describe the first five perfections, if they're not governed by wisdom, as being like a collection of blind people that are not able to go in the direction and achieve the objective that they're seeking. Without a guide, someone with sight, then the mass of blind people is not able to arrive at the objective that they're seeking. Similar to that, the first five perfections, if they're not governed by the wisdom that understands emptiness, then they're like a mass of blind people that they can't get where they're going, and thus the wisdom that understands emptiness is similar to the guide, someone who is sighted, guide who's able to lead the rest of the blind people to where they want to go, so. This is stated in the verse summary of the perfection of wisdom, and the exact same idea is presented also in the introduction to the Bodhisattva's way of life.
Oh yeah, that tender and it only to be shared a and it Rimba and it did not tambo tell at then as Sushi Yila Chebaju. Sushi Yila Cheba Kombayanda is Jung Chani, and it or to the general Sumbana Chani, Tambo, and it to Jung Shara. And it Casayage or Landon Chola Yovana Chani, and it Casore, Samotoma Tembargi, and it singing them, and it Rangish, and it Pejalova Sova, Tendela Tene, and it Tomanji turn to work, and it to Jung Shara. Turn the and it Casore or Casore, Nabatabe, Rilamla Tene, Ribala Tene, Ribicone, and it or the Neti to Ribala Tene, and it some Jung Dana Party, and it some Jung Sheraki. Some Jung Sheraki, and it only Dana Papi turned he, and it Casore turned de la Rimba, Shindu Kasanshuana, she Semnaku, Semna Taku, and Rimbashi, Namba Shabala Tene. Tar Senago Rimbashi to take the Jibishina de troop. Jibishina Tiane, Annie, so you don't buy a social to be share of the Chambi, Annie chat of the Chambi, Annie listen to young de sympathy China. Annie Casore, Landon Jinduba, Sakasa Landon, Shila Sunday, and to did about Gomjung Zetobare. Tejung, Samjung. Gomjung say Gala, or Terimba, she took Gomni, and the Landon, Shila Sunday Tobatis, and Antonium to Gomjutokar. Now,
so the way this works, then, how is it that one develops this understanding, wisdom that understands emptiness? It's just as we've explained previously, and then likewise this is presented in the ornament for the sutras text, where the process of developing the wisdom that arises from hearing the teachings and studying the teachings is the initial phase of it. So when one, in order to do that, one has to meet and rely upon, properly serve also a virtuous friend who is qualified to explain this topic, who has already understood emptiness and is able and qualified, has the various qualifications necessary to explain emptiness. And then, having heard explanations like that, then one also should read texts which explain emptiness further, study it on one's own, and in that way, gradually one develops the understanding of emptiness based upon hearing it and studying it from others. And that kind of understanding is called the wisdom which arises from hearing or study, and this initial wisdom is the first phase. So once one's established emptiness in that way, then one has to enter into the path of correct forms of reasoning, where one investigates the nature of emptiness, analyzes it by means of multiple forms of reasoning, And then once one has exhaustively done that, such that one has a clear ascertainment of what emptiness is, then that ascertainment is something that you've achieved through your own analysis and reflection upon the nature of emptiness. Then one has accomplished the wisdom that arises from reflection or thinking about the subject. Then once one's done that, one takes that object that one has established through critical analysis and reasoning, and then one takes that as the object for the development of shamatha, and one proceeds through the 9 states of development of shamatha as we've described previously. And then at the end of that, then one accomplishes shamatha as such, which is a single-pointed ability to remain single-pointedly placed upon the object that one wishes to be focused upon and placed upon. And then that once one has accomplished that, then one enters into the further analysis of the object that one has a stable fixation upon through shamatha, so that through investigation and analysis of that, gradually one develops insight, as we mentioned previously. And that insight itself, when insight is harnessed together with shamatha, such that they're a team cooperating with each other, then that is harnessing together of them or integrating them together such that they cooperate as a team, then that is what is, from that arises the wisdom which develops from meditation or cultivation or meditative cultivation of the subject.
Oh yeah, then that Sila Sundriam, Tony Toby, Tandong, and no Gomjong, that Toba Tinium, Tendawi, and Sila Sundi, Rimba, Shinto Comdi Java. Gomjama Sila Sundi Ramba, Shinto Comdi Gala, and Rimba, Shinto Dine Gala, and Casore, Jolam, Shikatu. Lamgi on the Jagana, and the Solam, Jolam to pay the Sila Sundi Tomato and February. Jolam, Tene, Shindigana, and it didn't Sunzin, Sunwadan Zimba, Dendu to Shembeki. Dendu to Shambama, Sunwadan, Zimba, Dendu to Navi, Nawa Chijun, the Sony. Nawa Chijun, the Sony. Or Sunwatini, Tar, Sunzindi, and the Casore, Demba Tripi, Nawa Nubagi. Ani Nina Tamjanubi, Tonyo Mosu, Ishiki Zamba, Ani Guja Chanjuki Sem, Tenda Chanjuki Sem said, Ani Tonan Tobatan, Tenda Chanjuki Sem Tobatan. Marji, Denduganawa Chijun Chetu, the Taranawa Tamja Tabi, Nina Tamja Tabi, Ani Tonyo Mosu to be Shiki Gana, Rishia Tome, Tenda Chanjuki Sem said, that was Jaguari, Tenda Chanjuki Sem.
Tome, Rishi Tome. So then when one achieves this kind of integration or the ability, when shamatha and vipassana have been combined together as cooperating as a team, then integrated together, this and the achievement of the wisdom that arises from meditative cultivation occurs simultaneously. And it's that conjunction of shamatha and vipassana in that way, and the wisdom that arises from that meditative development, the achievement of that marks the shift from the path of preparation into the from the path of accumulation into the path of preparation. And then during the path of preparation, there's 4 phases of it. And over the course of those 4 phases, the appearance of the object here and the subject in a dual fashion that is the perceiving subject, which is meditating upon emptiness, and the perceived object here. The dual appearance, which is involved with the appearance of subject and object, as if they were established as real. That form of dual appearance gradually diminishes, gets smaller and smaller, until finally, at the end of the path of preparation, that dual appearance entirely disappears. And when that dual appearance of subject and object, a perceiving subject and perceived object and appearing as real, has completely dissipated and disappeared, then at that point one has entered into the path of seeing, and prior to that point, there is still some degree of conceptuality involved in the meditation practice in terms of subject-object. The wisdom still has conceptuality involved in it, but at the point of entering into the path of seeing, along with the disappearance of the dual appearance of subject and object, the conceptuality disappears as well, and that is itself the awareness which arises from reasoning into the nature of reality, which is devoid of conceptuality, and that likewise is the initial point of the path of seeing, and it's also called ultimate bodhicitta.
Oh yeah, that 대신도 아니 가서 그래. 전담비 샘제 토바 티체나야 나르기 소소 기위냐 가서 예비 샘제데 아니 라삼답이 샘제 공어르니 그러와 오 라삼답이 샘제 오 된답이 라삼답이 샘제 대당 아니 된답이 장주 샘 아니 돈용 것을 또왜 셔럽 어디 라삼답이 샘제 대 이제다 라삼답이 셔럽지 심비 아니 탑다 셔럽기 탑기 또어 탑지 심비 에이 가서래 대한다면 찬주 있음니 아니 사소서 와가지 그만 마지도 당무서 반자 그 제차와디 사탐번에 신데 다 림지 아니 사소서 와가지 그만 반대 타를 아니 다 가서래 그 세바다 연장 그 저와기 아니 다 산제지 고마두에 두시제
laksamtabbe simki.
laksamtabbe simki. 그래서 전날 심지 토바당 왜냐면도 말지 심지에 laksamtabbe simki.
So when one achieves this ultimate bodhicitta, then one's development of bodhicitta, which is the aspiration side of it, the aspirational form of bodhicitta, the higher aspiration form of bodhicitta, becomes purified, and then it's called the development of bodhicitta, which is pure aspiration. It's given that name because it is. It's called that because it's at that point, once one enters into the path of seeing and develops ultimate bodhicitta, then it's in a sense it's governed by one's understanding of emptiness, the understanding of emptiness, and once one has that, such that one's development of the aspirational kind of bodhicitta has been purified through its conjunction with the ultimate bodhicitta, which understands emptiness directly, then one is able to progress through the various stages of the bodhisattva path. And the bodhicitta, which is this pure aspiration, together conjoined and integrated together with the ultimate bodhicitta, the direct understanding of emptiness, those two function to eliminate the various obstacles that are overcome on each of the various phases of the Bodhisattva path, such that one proceeds through the various stages of the Bodhisattva path, eliminating the various obstacles and obscurations that are removed in each of them, and then eventually, finally, one arrives at the final stage of the Bodhisattva path and eliminates all defects and perfects and completes all virtues. And completes all of good qualities, and that elimination of all defects and completion of all good qualities is Buddhahood.
Oh yeah, 인장 semje대라 라산답이 semje 시고야디 균장 가르래 세나 아니 semje디 또 깨와디 semje디 또기 아니 알멜 소소기위 내가주 아니 알멜 량유지 방법 풍보대 semje디 깨위 또기 아니 알멜 량유지 방법 풍보디 유지랑신 그 리공 오르고가래 유리공어 그봐 진주 가서 시주제이 남바 쳐다보 미산 류들란에 교육고人家人家매버 좋아이 자주 섬제자와라 대송 세대 자 조어대 하산답에 섬제 송인지리 시주제이 아니 자상동 세도 좋아 나신 아니 량유지 방법 풍부 태양 아니 유지라신 그 리공 오르 좋아대 아니 하산답에 섬제기 dob지 좋아래.
So the reason why the bodhicitta is given this name of it being the pure aspiration, it has that the bodhicitta, which is conjoined with the ultimate bodhicitta of understanding emptiness, is it has to do with the it's called pure aspiration or purified aspiration, because that's connected with the fact that the bodhicitta, the aspirational bodhicitta, which was developed previously in when one was an ordinary sentient being, that arose based upon a body which is was contaminated. It had a contaminated nature. But when one develops the ultimate bodhicitta, that aspiration to bodhicitta aspiration that one had developed previously is effectively transformed, similar to the way that a base metal is transformed into gold by means of an alchemical elixir. And the way that, or that occurs, when that occurs, then one actualizes a body which has a sort of mental nature to it, a body which is has a mental nature. And therefore, that form of a body which is separated from contamination, as the previous contaminated aggregates were, then one is di ikirangsingilu di ngorkeba ilula laksamtabe simke
laksamtabe simke dobji ngame lanyu pambe phombodi ani yejirashingulu.
So by the force of this bodhicitta, which is has a pure kind of aspiration, the purification of the aspiration that one had previously developed, then by the force of that that bodhicitta, aspirational bodhicitta, then one's coarse physical body that one had as an ordinary sentient being becomes transformed into a body which has a mental nature by the force of that.
Oh yeah, that is that so 가소래 돈이 또 와라 아니 퇴삼 돈이래 간다 강이나야 남 강대지 냠수 랭가야 나야 아니 저 퇴중 되네 삼중 되네 공주를 마신도 제거와 이장 안다 된다디 가상그디 잠도 마치 가라 가서래 종주 대다 초소 변주 공미 송진 인주라 이 가당 공매 조유 공부 시주니 나 간데에서나 공주 대다니 다 공주 대다 공도 아니 신의 공매당 뒤에는 아니 소소도 베셔로 제베 항동 공주 다 대다 공주 대단히 라룬지 당한 아마 남라자 좋은데 다 배도의 부품래 카지 퇴삼되나 리베 라시 매바 땡라 팝라 공디 미도 바시 공세스 다 퇴삼지 되나 아니 라시 매바 주바기 리바 내시 리바라 땡네 라시 매바 땡라 팝 다 땡라 팝에 되고 곰비텐도 레디 곰디데 나르 땡라 팝바기 라시 베토니 말고 바체 아니 지양 일라 미셰 바게 미도 바시 공세 오 대다 공세 왔더니 데메레 대다나니 데메 돈이 아니 나르 돈이 땡라 팝에 라시 매바 테라 로소 아니 현주 공부 이장 아니 대단지 그냥 뭐 조금 말이 대다나니 데메 돈이 로소 공지 년부 민주로
So this show here then that way of practicing of maintaining the meditation practice of shamatha and insight is likewise the this is the way in which it is taught by the master Lord Atisha, as well as the other great scholars and adepts of the past, and then showing that's the case. Here it shows that this way of developing shamatha and vipassana in that way by first of all one has to hear the subject properly and understand it through hearing it correctly, and then one has to develop it through understanding of it through analytical through analysis and investigation of it, then finally implement it in meditation practice as described previously. And within the process of doing that, it's indispensable to employ correct forms of attention. Attention is indispensable, because if one doesn't employ attention but rather gets into a state of not thinking about anything at all, then it doesn't work. And so this is explained then from the earlier Kara masters as well. We know that this is the way that the master Lord Atisha had taught it as well. And here it says, with respect to these ways of meditating, these arise from the earlier instructions on the stages of the path. And here then there's it's called the small book of Potoa that shows this. And lagindi Potoa bebone 같이 투섬 두나
같이 투섬 투나 리베스 투섬 기 내가라 투중다 삼중 기 내가라 아니 돈이 주비 리베 라시메 바땡라 팝 그러와 나 공비 투나 나를 투섬 기 땡라 베베 라시메 그 바데 마고 돈이 돈반디네 마고 봐 아니 원디 지야 미라 미셰 바가 미도 바바시 콤세르스 대다이나 다 제메 텐샤레스 와 강대라 파비 텐데 마공바 테라 로스 공바데 아니 데메 텐샤레 강대라 파비 텐데 마공바 아니 데메 텐샤지 공베 아니 라신지 주바쯤에 짐바마 덴진라 지암 미네 바야 덴지 그냥 뭐 조금 말해.
So in his small book, he says that some employ analysis at the time and reasoning at the time of hearing and thinking about the teachings, and in that way they establish absence of intrinsic existence. But when it's time to meditate, they say that meditation is simply absence of conceptualization or absence of thought. And if it's done like that, then because the person is cultivating some kind of unrelated form of emptiness, or they're doing they're doing something which is completely unrelated to emptiness. They're meditating in that way. It doesn't function as the antidote. So something that's unrelated means the meditation that they're performing is unconnected to emptiness. And if someone does something, meditates in that way, then it doesn't operate as, it won't function as the antidote, meaning that because one doesn't have the understanding of emptiness, that is the absence of intrinsic existence, then it won't function as the antidote to the misapprehension of things as having intrinsic existence.
대다외나 아시지가나 강땡라 법이 되는데 마곰바 아니 땡바비 된 대래 된 현실 고문나 아니 딘딘 인연법 문주와 대다외나 아니 공비 되나 가르 공부를 해서나 나를 안 퇴상 그 가서 직당 들달라 직투자당 땡들라 소와기 아니 강땡라 파비 아니 대 아니 공배 아니 삼중 그 소소 따진 따비 된데라 아니 공중 그 미도 번이도 내고 그래 중세 미도니도 내차
So then that being the case, since that's the case, that way of doing it is unrelated to actual meditation upon emptiness. Even when one is involved in at the time of meditation itself, one needs to meditate upon that which has been established by means of the reasoning, such as the things being divorced from being intrinsically single or intrinsically different, things being devoid of that kind of intrinsic identity or intrinsic difference, and then likewise the reasoning of dependent origination. One has to meditate upon that and investigating it when one's having investigated it in that way. Then one should also abide a bit upon non-conceptuality as well.
Oh yeah, 다 대다 겁나하세. 아니 기초라게 땡라 소위 리베 땡라 파비 아니 대라 아니 미도바 오면 내가 차나 대다 겁나 아니 녀모비 대다 겁나 녀모비 좋아 인상 아니 사지 디방가라 그 제수장화 되지 조직 제수장화 되지 바로 칠로 접안 대배서 아니 바로로 침박을 눌러 접안 대배 아니 가서 상동 고마움 아니 가서 셔럽고 밀루니 아니 테레 어디에 셔럽 바로 신로 공부 대배 셔럽고 밀루니 태인 어디에 되니시야.
So then if one meditates in that way, it acts as the antidote to the mental afflictions. And this is how it's accepted by the followers of the single God. This is a name for Lord Atisha, the soul deity, and it's accepted by his followers. And therefore, one who wishes to engage in the system of the perfections, for one who wishes to engage in the system of the perfections, that is the system of meditating on meditatively developing wisdom, that is insight.
Oh yeah, share community things. Tendravi ane komji toni telayang. 아니 가사기 땡기 내로 통마 가사기 땡기 내로 가사기 다음에 권배 되네 아니 풍보라서와 아니 풍속이 땡기 내로 쳐지 다음에 아니 대달치다 제수 주차 시중화 따로
So, and with regard to that, also, first one has to meditate on the absence of self with respect to persons, and then after that, meditate upon the absence of self with respect to other phenomena, and by and meditate in that way. And then in that way, one should enter into this following into it. La Deneditor Jesu Jukcha.
대다 제수 주자 간사가 담에 때나 베비 제수 풍속이 된도 안에 처지 담에 때나 베발라 주버차와.
So one has to follow the procedure in that way, meaning first establish the selflessness of persons, and then meditate on that, and then establish the selflessness of phenomena, and meditate upon that.
다 가서래 이거 저기 아니 웃음이래 아니 가서래 루루 야사게 따와 라 아니 야사게 따와라 아시 아니 저 야사게 티명아 그 아니 셰수 아니 로변 까마라 실라다 툼바 어테다 디안 저위 돈이 관계 또 세나 돈바니데 아니 가려를 때나 또 그래 쓰나 관계 또 세나 군전 가려 또 티신셰베 롱den진 다른 루루다 티시시베 롱den에 와라 춘이 된바 스바이스 또 삼모 돈바니지 춘이 된바디 스바이 루루로만 다자인 텔레기비 명아키 춘이 된바 또바 줄 세가나 루루탕 아니 루루기 지다 고마치다 자와기 아니 나산제전탕 아니 다와 차발라 바 유비 명아기 아니 전부 춘이 전부 또바 줄 아니 어야 비소신세
So then this it also is this shows we also can see that the way in which Lord Atisha from among the two systems of Madhyamika and mind only, that he has praised especially Arya Nagarjuna, the father, and his spiritual sons in terms of the view, and that that way of the way of explaining the practical instructions of that Arya Nagarjuna and his spiritual sons is also followed, compatible with the way Master Kamalashila expresses it and explains it as well. And then the basic text here says, moreover, Lord Atisha has said that if one asks, how is one to understand emptiness, then one should understand the reality of dharmata, the nature of things, by means of the instructions, the practical instructions, which have been transmitted from the Master Nagarjuna, as well as his spiritual disciples. And here it says Chandrakirti, but one would also include within this Master Buddhapalita as well, within the lineage from which this practical instruction has been handed down. So, and Master Arya Nagarjuna is described as the one who was prophesied by the Tathagata, and who has seen the real dharmata nature of things.
Oh yeah, that thing. 가서래 좀 전에 롱 담바 나시 전에 루rumnen 다와 잡아라 마 규바게 안에 치주양 안에 조위다 조위 우미당아도 송바탕 조지기 우미당아도 송바탕 로변 가만에 실이 공바양 공바인 자와를 나와 안에 계속 나와 이노 스타 공바인 대와디 가만에 가서래 규바 아니 안 마찬이 루룸 명하라 노르단 다와차베 명알은 주바이바 아니 니가 공부 튼장 양 공부 짜주라 초역이 탄주글로서 짜와당 까마라 시라게 라주글로서 짜와게 담미게 잡아 연구로와
So then, in terms of the way in which one is to be led through this instruction, with regard to that, then the way in which one is guided through the practice of this development of understanding of reality. This is explained in the practical instructions on Madhyamaka by Lord Atisha. And then also there are numerous points in which the thought of Master Kamalashila appears similar. And those points which they concord, then one follows Master Kamalashila on those. But because he's following the Swatantrika Madhyamika view, in the points where there's differences, then one follows the practical instructions of Master Atisha. And so because there's similarity between these, so many points of so much similarity between the way Lord Atisha explains it in his instruction, practical instruction on Madhyamika, and as well as Master Kamalashila's way of presenting this instruction, then I have expanded upon this.
Oh yeah, that is it. 中最近就是说起切巴呢，他就讲话切巴了，大话讲跟现在的，他现在当中呢，说的现在个发现没把开的中国人那样，安尼就往我是就送前的，叫我就送过规划现场，他听的送过的，说把中最近就是说起切巴呢，他东讲话那样，是他东把你那边他东讲给那的，他东看的就讲给那样，他东讲话了，就为吃住蛋白汤，是他我就为告诉。 아니 저기 쳐줘. 어다 가서래. 저전하라 여와서 내가 지도자 그 사람들 때한테 봐 쳐봐 여마 그때 마셔야 가나. 아니 소신 쌓다가 아니 소사야 연락 뒤지 거네 소사야기 저주 땜바탕. 다들 개쳐 보인 말. 와 정말 너무 정가와 첨보를 지진 전배양기. 아니 샤라 소사 지바총 아니 사당 라마 예매전에 쏘았다. 예래 민음 정화 숨 직지도 차나 아니 알 미게 와시 니 개와시 용소하나시 제가라 소하나시 전에다 소사 집장치에 대 첨보인 말에. 야.
So then in terms of the way in which one carries out the procedure of this meditation practice, then there's the special features of the things that are to be done as preparation, the things that are to be done during the specific, the actual meditation session as such, and then the things that are practices that are to be performed after the conclusion of the meditation session, at the end of the meditation session, and then afterwards as well. And then in terms of the then the basic text here says that thus, in order to maintain and develop the insight, it's necessary to employ or rely upon the 6 preparatory practices. So these are as they're described in the Jorcha ritual.
就是确主才干了，古孙那刚起多的钱哇，俺那古孙都去单三把，俺那确把也没把各位在把想法，是吧？俺那单的话呢，旅途路家当叫他们去看这个呢，俺那给人钱把钱就往那结束做吧，俺那都不觉得。
So then, so these 6 are explained in the preparatory practices rite that we cite, that we recite often, and then they're mentioned, but they're also just they're different. These are presented just in a general way as well. In terms of first preparation entails cleaning the place where you're going to practice meditation. then setting up an appropriate kind of altar or images of the Buddhas and etc., and then performing the appropriate kind of worship of the Buddhas and so forth, and setting forth various kinds of offerings that one is going to make in the proper way. Then having a proper kind of seat prepared for oneself to sit upon.
오야 되는 거 초신 쌓았다와 초소비신 아니 제바전 쌓았다와 아니 초소비신 제바전 짠다데 텔라 때네 아니 야라 둠바 맨다당 제와 아니 부아 아니 티제라 소와도가 명하신 유단 되는 수차와 제비가라 다 나라도 제제를 요와 나신 전에 언제 다 담보주 가소래 좋아지 좋지 마땅
So then once one's done that, then one visualizes the assembly of merit, the assembly field of as it's described in that text, for example, and then visualizing them, then one performs the 7-phase, 7-part worship ceremony of making offerings, etc., and starting off with paying homage by prostrations, etc., and then going through the rest of the offerings and confession of misdeeds, rejoicing, and so forth, the 7-phase worship or puja. And then after that, one offers a mandala, and then one performs, makes requests after that.
Oh yeah. 다 되는 제제라 초신 마 아니 봐 뒤체 아니 랑게 줘라 라마 공신빙 안에 아니 무심이 봐 자야 말이 봐 초신 마뒤 아니 라마 줘 아니 커봐 줘 라마 쇼와 공신빙 안에 아니 무심이 미남 자야 말이.
So then, at the end of that, after one has made the request, then one dissolves or absorbs the assembly field into one's guru, and then has the guru comes and is placed on the top, sits on the top of one's head, is placed upon the top of one's head. And then while with that thinking of, while one's maintaining that understanding of the guru being on top of one's head, then one engages in the actual practice for the session.
Ora ding tanda tawa komya de yena ane thine gala thambo gacha ngewe ne ane gacha chazu de lola ma charche. Oh, that tender will catch at the Yena, Kasa Kitu, Ani Castle Chitan to Macaron to Yeme. Yena Chitan, what did it touch? Then be Chita, then it to or tendering Navicana, Chitan to Karun La, Yena Chitan Karun to Yoko, and Damba Yena, then be Chita to Macarona Yoko, Ani Chenicala, or Tendicala, Anita, Gajang with Nesamotang, Tikala Chawang with Net Samotang. 대가라 안에 덴비치다다 투다 안에다 텔라테네 안에 라시메발다 마 마신도 삼로다네 자자금 샤직샤자 두스마 줘야 말이야.
So then here, if one is then going to be meditating upon emptiness, one begins by going through the 4 essential points as discussed previously, that initially one has to ascertain, have a definite ascertainment of the object of negation. And then once one does that, one determines the pervasion by seeing that if such an object of negation actually existed, if the object of negation was in fact existed, then it would have to be either necessarily identical, if we're talking about in terms of meditating upon the selflessness of the person, then the autonomous person person would either have to be identical with the aggregates, which are its basis of designation, or the autonomous person would have to be independent, entirely separate from the aggregates, which are its basis of designation. One determines that those are the only two alternatives, and so that's the ascertainment of the pervasion that of the object of negation. And then next one proceeds into analyzing, investigating that to try to determine if the person, the autonomous person, was identical with its basis of designation, how would it exist? And one comes to the conclusion that it could not exist in that way. And then one does the same thing with an autonomous person, which is separate from its basis of designation, and comes to the conclusion through inference, through reasoning, that it's impossible for the an autonomous person to exist in either of those ways. And at the culmination of that analysis, then one ascertains that the person could not exist by means of its own intrinsic nature.
Oh yeah, the name was that our comic by Johnson. That teacher, Tunguchela, I don't go up to George and Oeda. Any twins them to young, any castle, any Samatomani to be, any Bejatin, any law chair, any Tawala Yang Satebe, twins them Chita Chavata. Young Chaba to young, any Chungadan Chava, Chinjombe Naga Lion, any Chungadan Chava, Jonjuna, any Contushabana Shawa Chow. Yeah.
So thus, and then at the end of the session, at the conclusion of the session, so that what we've just described is the actual main part of the session when one's meditating upon selflessness of persons. Then at the conclusion of that session, then one should dedicate the merits that you've developed through that practice. And then, and then at the in time periods between sessions, one should do things such as read books about the subject that one is meditating upon, but during the course of those intermediate periods, it's important to avoid allowing the mind to become dull by sinking, or to become overexcited through scattering. So one should maintain the state of mind through the non-formal meditation session period through that way. And then, it says in the text actually, and in particular, one should maintain one's practice separate from sinking and scattering, and all of these ways of doing this kind of maintenance of the meditation process are to be understood as they were previously explained.
상동 공부 상동 주비 살라 다던데 디 상동 공부 세데 나 담보 동반이라면 비신에 주 나 동반이라면 비신에 주 찬이 디제라 안에 상동 공리 가서 이치 시샤야 샤요와 이른바 신도 아니 상동 공리 다 상동 주비 세데 가져래 세가나 신에 주 찬이 안에 동반이라면 비신에 가서 상동 주주대 간절해 쓰나 알레 담보 자금지 장비 신장 지디 주바담바니 대다 소소 도비 셰럽지 제네 공바나 당아르 시네 미바 콘도 동바니 때라 파니 아니 동바텔라 동바니 텔라 미네 시네 춥차니 당아지 시네기 미바 아니 소소 동바니 때라 아니 소소 도비 셰럽지 제네 공바나 아니 나르셰비 신장 마지 친제도 나르셰비 신장데 마지 친제도 나르셰비 신장데 가르사나 제도지 장비 유심 신장데 라 신의 토비 제도 유동반이라 소소 도비 셰럽지 제대 제도지 장비 아니 신장데 마지 친제도 아상동 진정바래 是吧？对了，一些是由于讲了，针对就把它切进就把它切把没把就把它甚至就比一些搞出来了。我对了，今天把赢了。他接触起长比旅行新疆的，说咱们东北人了，说都别写到起长行接触给长比旅行新疆结果提升了，你他常常成一把用把的。这件呢，是我接触过长比旅行新疆的把这件呢，常常成一把引进。新疆给我当记录呢，我写把西罗是他感觉看不新疆你跟我记人当。아니旅行장다 아니 섬시장 그 대화니 그 길로 공도 샤바 신을 샤바도 주바래 야
So then, in terms of the actual measure of how one is of whether one the criteria for having accomplished insight through meditating in that way. Or the measure of having actually having accomplished that insight. It says here that so first, by means of analytical meditation, when one gives rise, insight is accomplished at the time when flexibility has been arisen by the force of analytical meditation. And then the basic text explains that. Thus, when one has meditated analytically by means of the investigative wisdom, here this is referring to, as we've discussed previously, when the object here, emptiness, has been established, and one takes that as the object, and then one has meditated upon that analytically by means of the investigative wisdom, and then until the flexibility, which has been previously explained, has arisen. Up to that point, it's called insight, or it's called the something that is conforming to insight, but it's not actual insight as it's described here. It's not the definitive insight as it's exactly defined. Then once that flexibility, as we described yesterday, where we talked about how the through the process of analysis in the course of practicing insight, then there's bodily this sort of bodily bliss, which is the characteristic of physical bodily flexibility, that in turn engenders mental bliss, which is the characteristic of the mental flexibility in the process as described above. Here, these occur, as we've said, in the course of developing shamatha through the force of the four kinds of mental, four kinds of attention, and then likewise the bodily form of flexibility and the mental form of flexibility arise in the context and course of developing insight by means of the four kinds of attention as well. So once insight, once those mental and physical flexibilities have arisen, then that is the definitive form of insight, and the way in which those types of and the character of flexibility, both the bodily flexibility as well as mental flexibility, have the way they arise has been explained previously.
Oh yeah, that 新疆社点新那个新疆咱们就没晓吧，是吧？新那个新疆社的这个新疆社干了，俺你看说的，有当把你了，百分之100的2把9把。3년 9월 때 3년 9월 때 아니 밤에 흔들도 년반 주변 똑지 장비 아니 신장게들라 신내기 신장 시체 是吧？这趟新疆社的给什么他们家来要的？ 자 개회 사망스 저기 내가라 게세미나 안에 그 코를 콜라 아니 신장계를 와게 요아래 신장에 뭐 대장 많이 봐체 대 많이 봐 아니 신내기 신장이야 많이 봐 아니 셈내 구위 내가서 요동반이라 밤에 흔들지 녀바 주벽이 똑지 참비 신내기 신장 대야 미쳐 봐 다음은 네 가는 거래서나 신내라 신내 투바 마냐바 여바티 동반이라 미비 신내 투바 마냐바 여바티 티 참비 신장자 여배 신내 염지 신장자 여배 신장자 여바자 말에서 신내기 참비 아니가 신내 권변내가라 아니 신내 톱지 리스 신장게 대해서 신내기 신장지 여바 인장 티 참비 신장자 여배 신장 여바자 마이노 워낙 간지 과래에서나 워낙 간이냐나 다 신의 티 안에 유송바 동바 니라 소소도비 셰럽지 제진 아니 조금 채와 티 또지 아니 신장 된 두바나 토바나 아니 되는 상동도 주로 상동 시라선데 다 검중 건가 두고 때 상동도 주로
So thus, how is it that it's insufficient to have the mere pliability or flexibility of body and mind which pertain to the practice of shamatha? This is explained in that in the course of developing shamatha by means of the four kinds of attention, as we've described previously, then at the conclusion of that, one develops a both bodily and mental pliancy or flexibility, as we've described previously. But that form of the bodily and mental pliancy or flexibility, which pertains to shamatha, is not adequate. Is not actually not the actual bodily and mental pliancy that is being referenced here in the context of developing insight on the nature of on emptiness. Here, so it says that with respect to this also, even someone who has already developed shamatha, and for whom it has not degraded, such a person has the flexibility, mental and physical flexibility, which is drawn forth by that practice of shamatha. So since they have that, the mental and bodily flexibility that's being discussed here in the context of insight meditation is not that form of flexibility alone, not merely that. And then if you say, well, what is it? Then it's by virtue of the innate power of the analytical, performing the analytical meditation. Here, analytical meditation is referring specifically to the investigative analysis of emptiness, as discussed previously, that form of analytical meditation. By the innate power of that, if one is able to bring forth the flexibilities here, mental and bodily and mental flexibility, then that is at that point, then one has actual insight in the sense of the definitive insight. Dene flaktondu gyros, flaktondu tsinipa.
양 주반은 하동도 주로 하동. 나도 무슨 하동도 주로. 신장 토바나 안에 하동도 주로. 인자 신내지 미바텔라. 신내지 안에 신내게 강미바 송와텔라. 다른 시다발라 미비 내 가서래. 니 미바텔라 안에 소소소비 제도지 장비 신장 토바나 상동 토바 되니 아니 시자 진행발라야 미부 진행발라 미바당 지다발라 미비 상동 이가라 잡아래 신내징안래 제도지 잡에 리스 순장 것이 대와 토바나 상동 토바데 미바 지다바다 진행바 이가 강라 미나야 지바래 잡아래
So then, likewise, with respect to that, once one has this insight, which is characterized by the this bodily and mental flexibility, has that that characteristic, then it's one is performing insight practice. Whether one is observing the diversity of things, one takes those as one's object, or one is observing the things as they are, taking that as the object. Both of them are similar in that respect. And this is just as we discussed previously with respect to shamatha practice. They're not distinguished by means of the object, that shamatha is not distinguished by means of the object. Rather, it's by means of the shamatha itself.
Oh yeah, that's something. 상도 주제 세가나 아니 신내지 아니 신내지 미바데라 소소도비 셔럽지 제진 제도지 장비旅行 신장기 대화 남 토바나 상동 주바 대다 인버기空的 가르래서나 아니 대다양 광제래 좀더 장주 선바 대 지시도 아니 류당 셈 신도 장바 마도지 파도 가서는 마도지 봐도 지다 레버 삼비 지다 레버 레버 삼범 요디 요 칸다카 레버 삼비 최대다라 띵리지 지유 수년 난도 일라 지비 일라 쳐바텔라 지시기是吧 신장 마도 그 파도기 안에서 다들 뒤돌들어 전화 가나 신내지 안에 라게 미발라 소소도비 셔럽지 제장 제도기 장비 아니 신장 마도비 파기 안에 띵을지라 가르시 그래 스나 지시제
So then the source for this this criterion for the accomplishment of insight, criterion here referring to the that which one has to accomplish in order to have accomplished insight, and here the criterion is the development of bodily and mental appliancy or flexibility. The scriptural source for this standard of having developed insight is the Sandhinirmochana Sutra. And there it says, it's a dialogue, and it begins by saying, "O Bhagavan, a bodhisattva, until they have developed, until they have obtained the flexibility of body and mind, then what is the what is it? What would one call, or what is the attention, which is an internal attention upon an image, which is the domain of meditative concentration? They're the objects, where the objects are something that one has properly thought about. So what is this this form of attention, which is an internalized attention upon an image, which is the domain of meditative concentration?
Oh yeah, chamba 상동이 많이 돼 사탄다에게 가상한조 상동 검지 잠바 이지시 여기나 dimde 주바 천재 주바 다시 쉬왔네 차밤에 봐 주바 유지 현지 주비 이지 대 소소도비 제도지 장비 셔럽 토나양 아니 가서 신장기 대와 마신비 감대 대인바래 대라 된다와데 상동이 많이 돼 상동의 제수 tumbo이 매와다 충바된바 임바 차고 상동 진림바 임바 차고
So so then the Bhagavan replies and says, "O Maitreya, that is not insight. It is a definite ascertainment and it is conjoined, which conforms with insight, and it is it is something which is so that is not insight. It conforms. It's a definite ascertainment which conforms with insight, and it is conjoined with insight. It should be said to be that. So here, what is being said is that the actual insight is this flexibility of body and mind, which occur by the force of having analytically and investigated, and from having analyzed the object by means of investigative wisdom.
Oh, okay. 到底讲这个东西，谢谢第一个。那第一个啦，谢谢名啊，现在话谢谢名啊啦。提是天这边定了就广播不提，旅当什么性质讲把提了来的，但现在讲，安尼现在托的，现在就告诉了，安尼定义真正律师形象给的，对话托的，安尼定义是提了来的，现在提了来的，安尼现在提案呢？ 아니 시다 삼바점지 된 난게 띵해진지 주 난게 띵해진지 소년지 주유라 다강 요대체 와 소년지 주유다 소년 나와다 마주바 나신체니 요대 아니 기당 나와다 마주 구조이나 또바들 나와다 마주에 대 소년 순고인지 간자다 소년 뭐 띵해진지 주유지 소년 요대라 사바 매베 소소 다바 차디 다 동반이나 동반이라 사바 매베 아니 사모 동반이지라 소소도베 셰럽지 소소 다바디 쩨버 차디 치시도 류당 셈신도 장바 제도지 류당 셈 신도 장바 마제바 티시도 아니 한동 젠딩바 일라 쩨바 일라 저 강그세 된다와 대야 아가서 소소도바 제비 아니 셰럽데 제도지 참비 유신 생장기 대회 심바나 아니 유심 유당 셈신장 개와 티세나 관계 개와 티세나 아니 항동의래 항동의이노 항동의 문제들 항동이노
So this statement then in the Sandhinamochana Sutra is also expressed, conforms with what one finds in the instruction on the perfection of wisdom by Master Shantipa, and in that it says that someone who has obtained bodily and mental flexibility. Here, referring to a meditator who has obtained bodily and mental flexibility from the force of meditative concentration, they're able to remain on that object or on reality for as long as they wish, and the meaning of that very thing or that reality is they have a definite ascertainment of the object, which is here the object is an image which is the domain of an internal image which is the domain of meditative concentration. So they have a definite ascertainment of that. And by means of that definite ascertainment, then they investigate that object. And for as long as they have not given rise to bodily and mental flexibility, here referring to bodily and mental flexibility that arises by the force of analysis, then for that period of time or to that extent, they have a form of attention which conforms with insight. So here the attention is as referred to previously, the 4 different stages of attention. The attention which is conveyed by force, with gaps, without gaps, and then finally effortlessly. They have that form of attention which conforms with insight but it's not yet actual definitive insight. But at the time when that bodily and mental flexibility has arisen, then at that time they have achieved the actual insight.
소소도 셰럽기 안에 유라 소소 죄배 아니 신장 된뒤 대 신장 된뒤 아니 띵은지 땜보 된주니 신장 제비티나 소소 신장 랑도지 된투바 유라 소소 죄비 아니 제도지 신장 랑도지 된투나 아니 대세 sem제지 방향 된유배 대뉴바인 나를 안에 갈고 신내지 나라 유라 소소 죄바 인장 나를 신내 토차바 인장 신장 란도지 대뉴바나 sem제지 방향 대뉴배 소소 도비 제금지 란도지 신내 담바 티니스 다 신내 그것도 안한도 특별히 소소비 제럽지 제금지 란도지 신내 담바 티니 So then,
the way in which analysis is able to bring forth, analysis is able to induce flexibility, it's brought forth by it's induced by the force of stable meditative concentration. I'm sorry, I have to retranslate that. At the time when analysis induces mental and bodily flexibility, then it induces stable meditative concentration, and the way that works is described in the next section of the text. When by the inherent force of mental and 신장 란톱기 된 tumna 신장 란톱기 된
란톱지 된 tumna 안에 되게 제도 그 신장 란톱지 된 tum디 간을 제도 그 sem제지 방향 된 tum 그래.
So then when one's able to induce mental and bodily flexibility by the inherent force, then it's also able to bring forth to induce a single-pointed mind as well. And when that's the case, so here the inherent force of analysis is able to bring forth to induce the mental and bodily flexibility. It also is able to induce a single-pointed mind. Mind. So the fact that by meditating through analytical investigation or through an analytical investigation, then by the inherent force of that, this ability to induce shamatha, the meditative stabilization, is due to the virtue of having, or the good qualities or virtues of having previously accomplished shamatha.
tena loto mirungwani chagum chewe ane shine semibala zechidu newadi ane neja pa churu droyagi loto cheminya bala teta shine leba chuba shigi ngare teta shine leba chuba shigi ane shine ji ngane yani yula soso ane tobe sherabchi chebe chagum chewe 아니 조금 되게 semibala zeju newadi che pudu drowan pudu chungwan drowe 조금 되게 와네 아니 미발라 zeju newadi 가서래 pudu chungwan drowe 소소도비 조금 채나 텐더비 가사 되게 소소도비 조금 채나 내자 충으로 dro고 냠바 아니 토바고고 말했어. 내가 총을 줘 냠도 미승어.
So, and this statement, immediately preceding statement, also shows the way in which the misconceptions about this are incorrect. And here it says, thus, if one meditates by means of an analysis which has been someone who has already properly established and accomplished a meditative stabilization through shamatha, has properly developed shamatha, and they engage in analytical meditation. Although they're doing analytical meditation, that analytical meditation serves to enable one to arrive at an even more excellent form of shamatha. And since that's the case, therefore, one should not hold the wrong view that thinks that if one performs analytical meditation through investigation, then one's ability to remain stabilized on the object will diminish. That wrong view should not be held.
Oh yeah. 내가 충분히 양도 미송어 다시라 손도 대위 전샤바텔라 시라 손도 대위 대송어당 추어반데 공된 그중 시어거와 담바 이 예배나네 다 뭐텔라 초도 와 담보 시라 손대라 아나 시라 손대라 시라니가 톡거와데 진이 주비 차니 tenye drubi tsaji kapsu shabata sika shina drubi tsabdang ane langdong drubi tsai dat kachung kondi shabanashi shabatar shila nye matomna ane sungdu jeju shina dan langdong meba yinzang ane shila sungde towa yuwa mare sungdu jeju miyongwe sungde shila sungde lani shila nye ngabar tobaji gogure na.
So then, in terms of the way in which one joins shamatha and insight together as a pair, literally harnessing them together as a team, this is described below, that the joining together shamatha and insight as a pair is in order to do that, one necessarily has to obtain both shamatha and insight. Just as it has been explained above within the context of the discussion of the criterion of having accomplished those two, that is shamatha and insight, if one has not obtained both shamatha and insight, then there's nothing to be conjoined together as a team or as a pair. And since you don't have anything to join together, in order to join them together as a team, as a pair, then you definitely have to have obtained both of those.
Oh, that to go so. That you should not see Handon Toba, Sila Sundra Toba, and a Gomjun Toba, Twina by anybody. In that Handon Toba down, Twina in by Sundu. You were Handon Toba down, Sundra Toba, Twina by knee. Diang Nam Handon Toma Handon Tommy, as Handon Toby Tomane, and a Sila Sundra Toba Juve. Tisuni, Ngaji Sinella Dennis. 다 말지 돈이 더 비시네 텔라 때네 자금 체위 투 자금 체위 투 아니 시내지 가서 샤바신 뭐바 두셔봐 매봐 뭐바 두셔봐 매봐 랑갱강기 준비 이제 토마토바나 아니 손제데 조조에 랑갱강기 준비 이제 토마토바 제도지 장비다 다시 나시 전에 그러와 베네디송도와 계속 ngaji 신내라 때나 자금 체비 탈 ngaji 신내라 때나 자금 체비 투 ngaji 신내지 가서 샤바 신도 신내 토디 가나 유 신내 이미 받달라 아니 엄마 또 샤바면 밤에 힌루도 랑강아 그 주니 아니 신장이 되어 있으면 신내 토고 알아 왔다 된다 되라 아니 신내 팀 안에 아니 랑게 미발라 제도지 참비 아니 가서래 제도지 참비 엄마 두쳐봐 매바 랑경한기 아니 소소도베 셰럽지 제비 아니 텐더비 소소도베 셰럽데 아니 가서래 이제 도바하셔야 돼 다다제티 샤고지래 신장기 세외시비 이제 토바나 아니 한동 토바다 실라순데 쪼그래
So therefore, then the next it explains that the attainment of insight and the attainment of combining insight and shamatha and insight together as a team, as a pair, occurs simultaneously. And this is explained in the text as follows. Moreover, when one has first initially obtained insight, then at that time one obtains the combination of insight and shamatha and insight joined together as a pair. And the way in which that occurs is that so the way in which that occurs is that in dependence upon the shamatha that one has previously accomplished, and based upon that shamatha that one has previously accomplished, then by the force of performing analytical meditation, in investigating the nature of the object by means of analytical investigation, the wisdom which investigates the object analytically, then just as it was explained previously in the context of shamatha practice, then one obtains a kind of attention which operates automatically without any creative activity taking place. So just as in the prior context of discussing the shamatha as before, when one accomplishes shamatha, the mind is able to remain fixed upon the object single-pointedly without any, just naturally, automatically, without any effort. And so that occurs without any activity, an additional sort of creative activity or effort taking place. And similarly here, in the context of developing insight as well, just as was explained previously with shamatha, then the attainment of that kind of attention, or here one could also construe this as referring to the flexibility, bodily and mental flexibility, which coincides with the attention that operates automatically and without any activity. When one has that, then shamatha and vipassana have been conjoined together as a team or as a pair.
No, yeah. Jubi je toba sundu dede ese. Ta dede songa. Oma duche ba baranga ga jubi je toba. Tomna sundu jode, sunde de jode. Ta digi sila sunde gi tini tomzun su jio ko ba. Sila da su sina da hando ni wo top chung su ane jio ko ba de. Ane tim lunde nyasal ma ta.
So then there's a citation from the Shravaka Bhumi, which explains how it is that these, when necessarily must, in order to connect shamatha and vipassana together as a team or as a pair, that they have to be combined such that the power of both of them is equalized or made comparable, equalized. So this is a long passage, so we'll stop there for now.
Joy